What's going on, guys? So today on this Shoky review, we're going to take a look at a custom I've done. Now, I've sort of showed this off just briefly before during a different review, and it is my Custom Demon King Barbatos. And as you guys can see, it is a kit bash. I knew that was going to happen as soon as I popped it loose with my finger. I've got it upside down. Custom kit bash of Barbatos, Try Burning, and Kabakali from G-Reco. And I've done a lot of work to make this thing happen. And yeah, I mean, it's unfinished, but I kind of dig it, even in its unfinished look. So, I mean, it is what it is. Now, I did complete the Kabakali. I went ahead and built the entire thing just to get it done. Now, mind you, this was before I was doing reviews, so there is not going to be a review for that, because at this point, I've modified parts. I've actually traded off parts to somebody who needed some spare bits. And, of course, the parts I borrowed from the Try Burning aren't going to do me any good in the Try Burning Gundam anymore. So, whenever I do that review, it's only going to have the orange parts, not the blue ones. So, it is what it is, but as for what I've done to it, obviously the main torso is now all Kabakali, even giving the big kind of cloak-like shoulders here. I really do dig this look. I wanted it to be a bit more regal and a bit more evil, so I did that, but where the normal bits, I don't even remember what the chest used to look like, so these are actually the chest vents for the regular Barbatos, cut and fit exactly into that slot. And then you get the center of the torso, which now has a big Plavsky crystal right there, which I believe I just made a hole and inserted it. And then this part right here is in fact the shoulder extension part of the Try Burning, and then just trimmed down and sanded and then painted gray to match, so you get some of that effect. As for the head, it is modified a little bit, so it's the original Barbatos head. So I've actually sharpened the V-fin. You can see right here, I've actually filed inside that little crest. And then back here, I've added these ears. Now, I cannot remember exactly which model those came from, but it was already a curved part. I cut it in half. It might have been like a shoulder extension part. I just don't remember what it came from. Cut it in half, and then I sanded in all the details and glued them on to the already like eared parts of Barbatos' head. And I really do actually dig the head on it. I often forget that that's a modified sculpt. And then coming to the shoulders, not a whole lot different. This is all Kabakali up until you see right here. Literally just made a hole, inserted that part there. Now I'll show this off because you can see here how that's got a little bit of scuff and stuff like that. I was trying to actually file in like a groove right here. So this one's unmolested. This one, I filed a groove into it. Didn't like how it looked. So I filled it in with super glue and actually shaped it back to almost back to stock. So, I mean, you can look at that. I mean, it's not nearly as crisp as this side, but I think I did a really good job just basically turning super glue into body filler. And it does work. You can do that. I've totally done it to shape other parts before. Now, still focusing on the shoulders, I did do a few other things. So if you know the Kabakali, you've got this whole part in here. It does have like a weird kind of faded white clear part. Went ahead and hit that all with some metallic blue paint. That looks fantastic right through there. And then added the extra blue crystal down here at the bottom, just for effect, because it's an effect part. The arms are totally unchanged, and they are just plugged in to the normal shoulder for the Kabakali. I think it was a tight fit, but it does work. So you can still articulate a lot as you could before. The head is just plugged in, I believe, on the Kabakali ball peg for the neck, so no real difference there. That is, of course, the Kabakali waist here, and I've just plugged in the feet, or I'm sorry, the legs into that crotch. No big deal. I believe it's just a little bit tight with those things, But because I didn't like how these front skirts went, I actually took the Barbatos skirts and glued them to the back. I think that looks pretty decent. These side skirts are modified. They were a bit longer, if I remember correctly, and I reshaped them. I think they came down to about to here, and you can see I just cut them down, reshaped them so that they fit a little bit better, like that. The legs, for the most part, don't have a huge amount of modification, but the modification that is there is blatantly obvious. So you now have these tubes here, so it required cutting the entire front of this skirt out, and you can see I've sanded it quite effectively. I probably need to take some putty, but now that I'm a bit more proficient at using plastic plate or styrene plate, as it were, I can totally fill that in a little bit better than I did when I first made this. Mind you guys, I built this thing about 2 years ago, and it's just been sitting ever since. Now, I did take part of the Try Burning and just glued it right to there. I think everything glued on here was super glue. I did not have cement yet, so I could probably do a lot more stuff to fix this. Like building this out with some more plate would be good. Did modify the feet ever so slightly, so what used to be the vent in the shin is now down here, and the irony is that ends up looking a lot like the Guzhin rebake looks. So that actually came out really well done. Now, I did this before we really got all of the main suits for IBO, so I grabbed the original Barbatos, obviously, for this, or Barbatos. Now, the articulation and everything does work really well. It's not quite as good as a regular IBO kit, but I really do dig it, and I like the red under part here. Now, the part I'm most proud of is this backpack, because it uses the chest and shoulders of the Barbatos to actually function. Now, I believe I just made a couple slots in the actual back. Let me see. I know I can pull it off. I know it's not fixed. Come on. Get out of there. All right, yeah, see, I just carved a couple slots in there, though I wish I could do a couple pegs. I can probably do that now. But I really wanted him to use these as like backpack wings. These are actually meant for the knees of the Kabakali. So if you guys have a spare torso for some reason of an IBO Gundam laying around, it will make a very cool and very articulated backpack. So don't just toss it out for any particular reason. You know, that is not as even. Alright, so it's just the actual torso using the actual shoulders. And I've glued on these extra vernier. I bought a vernier kit. It's just glued on there to the shoulder pegs, and using the actual vernier that were part of the Kabakali backpack, I believe it was. Actually just shaped it to fit and glued inside the Barbatos shoulders. And then I forget exactly, I think it's just a peg. I just drilled a hole, and it's not perfect. That's why they're a little bit off from each other. So that's why you just gotta kind of tilt one to make it match. But I'm really proud of this backpack because it articulates. So each one of these articulates. You can turn that. You can turn the thruster with the backpack like so. If I remember correctly, you can go ahead and rotate that if you really want to. So you can really kind of kick the thrusters forward. Now, mind you, when it's on the Gundam, it's not going to be like that, but it is what it is. So, you know, if you have a torso, you got some spare arms you ain't doing nothing with, by all means, turn it into something else. And like I said, I can totally fill this out with some more plastic plate, some styrene sheet, whatever you want to call it, and just reinstall this on the backpack. It's a very tight fit, so you can see there exactly how that looks. And I'll probably drill that hole back out and make that a little bit more substantial. I really do dig the excess butt skirt there. But that's it for the Gundam itself. But of course, he does have the sword right there from the Throne Dry. Or Zwei? Which one is he? I don't know. I don't care. So he's got the Buster Sword. I figured this was actually a very perfect weapon, especially if this is like a custom Barbatos that Mikazuki would pilot. He would definitely have a big, blunt sword weapon. Now, I will say that this thing has the loosest feet That does suck, believe me. Come on, get out of there. It's being a pain. Come on, there. All right. And it does totally fit, no problem. I believe I showed this off before. It fits no problem in the Barbatos hand, like so. And if I get the feet to cooperate, which that's going to take some thickening, I think. That's my Demon King Barbatos. Now, this would need to be painted. I would probably paint this a big gray like that to match. And I never did come up with a perfect color scheme for it. That's why I've kind of left it alone. But now that I can use plate more effectively, I can build out things, make some of the modifications a bit more secure, even maybe clean up some things, add some putty. See, look, there's his ankles, just letting it go. So the hips and the ankles, the polycaps are just all but gone on this guy, just like any of the first generation Gundams. The top end is so much more heavy, so that's one reason. And this thing does tend to topple over sometimes. But try to balance it out with the backpack and the sword. And it's not too bad like that. And the sword will actually store on the back using those weapon holders, so it is what it is. But guys, if you like this review, if you like my cool custom, let me know what you think. If you have any ideas for the color scheme, perhaps, let me know. And yeah, thanks to Kolby, who wanted to actually see this. And if you guys want to have the ability to control what I look at, something like that, check out the link in the description down below, or right here on the screen, if you want to become a patroneer, like all those guys over there. And of course, guys, if you want to see any of my Shoky merch, it's here on the screen. Go check out the t-shirts. Go grab something. It'll help support the channel. And if you're interested in the Lupus for Lupus contest, since we have a Barbatos right here, go check that out because, you know, it's awesome. And we have more and more people signing up every day, which makes me very, very happy to see that more people are jumping in on the charity deal. But I will catch you guys on the next review. And remember, as always, keep on building.